Hey guys, Mark here with another edition of Weaponized Truth. This picture that you're seeing here is nothing super important. I'm just going to flip through some random pictures that I took, and I just wanted to discuss with you just something that had happened to me recently. As many of my viewers probably know already, I live here in Texas. And ironically enough, even though I live here in Texas, I had never been to the NASA Space Center over in Houston. And they've got a whole big visitor thing set up to where you can go and you can check out some of the real NASA stuff and some of the shuttle parts, etc., etc. Now, there's quite a few different little shows that you can go see, and these are just random pictures that I took from inside my little visit to this place. So I'm just going to kind of flip through them so you guys can check it out if you've never been there. But anyway, so there's these various different little shows that you can go to where they have people speaking, and they'll go through their little spiel, and every once in a while at the end of their little thing, they'll ask you if you have any questions, and they'll allow you to talk to them. Now, I had two different opportunities while I was there to ask questions, although I think the first opportunity was not really, I don't think it was legit. Even though they said they wanted people to, or offered people to, allow people the opportunity to ask questions, it seemed like the first chick that was doing a little thing when I went to see the NASA mission control room, offered people to ask questions. It seemed like she didn't really want to answer them, which I thought was strange, because she asked if anybody had any questions, and obviously, if you guys know me and some of the stuff that I've seen going on with NASA, I have a shitload of questions. But I paused and I refrained, and I waited to see if anybody else was going to ask any questions. And when I was at the one at the Mission Control Center, not one single person in this whole group of like 100-something people had one single question for this lady. So I paused to see if anybody else was going to ask a question, and nobody did. And now I know at this point that they must get all sorts of crazy questions, because this lady actually said, wow, no questions? Nobody wants to know where NASA is hiding the aliens? And even then, no one said anything. Now, even though I have a crap load of different questions, at this point, the only one I asked is I said I wanted to know what was going on with the Osiris-rex, and if she could give us some kind of update on what's going on with this project. And she basically blew me the fuck off and was like, oh, it's just doing what it's doing. There's not really anything to tell. And I'm pretty sure that most of the people in that room, if not all of them, had absolutely no fucking idea what the hell the Osiris-rex is. Now, if you haven't seen my other videos, or you are unaware of what the Osiris-rex is, you should be prepared to be very fucking alarmed. Because I want to tell you guys, even though this is quote unquote the NASA museum, where they, hire people to run their tours and all this stuff, I'm pretty sure that a lot of these people who are the actual speakers at these events are people who are actively involved in things going on at NASA. Now, ironically enough, one of the speaking shows that I went to, the actual entire thing, which I didn't know what it was going to be about, was actually about an update on the Osiris-rex mission. And this was pretty amazing because this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Actually, I had two very important questions I wanted to ask people at NASA. Now, when this lady was speaking and giving her an update on this thing, she mentioned how the Osiris-rex was launched like 6 months ago, and it's going to inspect this this asteroid Bennu that has is one of those near-Earth collision asteroids, and that's how it's going out to investigate this thing and collect samples. Now, one of the things that I found interesting is that they didn't mention anything about looking for signs of life from outer space, which is one of the things that I've seen mentioned in many articles. Now, she went on and gave her the update about this thing for a while. Now, I actually was trying, now once she was done, well, hold on, before I get to that, this is the thing, you guys. This is why I have a big ass problem with this just off the top before I even analyzed it at all. NASA spending tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to go investigate an asteroid that has a chance to come in collision with the Earth. I have a hard time believing, with all the little amount of crap that NASA isn't doing anymore, with half their workload now getting doled off to SpaceX, that they're going to spend all this money to go investigate a near-Earth collision asteroid, and we have nothing to be concerned about? You don't think with all the money and missions that NASA could be doing with all that money, the fact that they chose to do it to investigate an asteroid that could potentially hit us is absolutely nothing to concern about, when this is probably costing anywhere from $25 to $500 million just to get this project to happen? I find that very fucking concerning just off of the top. Alright, now so this lady who was giving this speech, she was obviously a well-informed participant in the everyday goings-on of NASA. I don't recall her name. I don't know exactly what she did, but it was very apparent that she knows her shit. She is involved in what's going on there. Now, she actually said that after the thing was over, she would be at the end of the door, and she'd be waiting there to answer anybody's questions. Now, unfortunately, the first question I didn't get an answer to, because once again, out of this big-ass group of people who went to go see this show, there was only one other person who came to ask her questions, and he walked up after I did and already was trying to talk to her. And my first question, I kept getting interrupted by this dude. It was an Indian guy with a couple of his family members, and it seemed pretty apparent that this dude was an engineer. And I don't know if any of you guys have spoken to many engineers, but a lot of them think they're like the smartest people on the planet. They're really arrogant and really pompous and like to listen to themselves talk. And so they kept fucking this dude kept interrupting me while I was trying to answer the question. And he was interrupting the lady while she was trying to answer the question, and this motherfucker didn't even work at NASA. So unfortunately, I could not get an answer to this question. But I did make it a point to let them know that I do want an answer. And what I asked them was simply this, because one of the things that they were talking about was this Orion project. This is the NASA next generation space shuttle that's supposed to take this group of 20 people to go live on Mars. Now, in the video, on the NASA website, they specifically say, in no uncertain terms, that before they can send people to Mars in the Orion, they're going to have to send the Orion through the Van Allen belt to see if people can survive going through the Van Allen belt, because they currently don't know if people can survive going through the Van Allen belt. This is what they say in the video on NASA's own website. So I was trying to ask her. I've seen all the videos walking around this place and all the people involved in these missions to get these men to the Mars. All the people that were involved all pretty much saying the same thing. That more or less they had no fucking idea what they were doing. They had no fucking idea what they were walking into. And everybody was basically guessing and hoping that this shit would work. That's literally what all these dudes were saying. Now, NASA wants us to believe that in the 60s and the 70s that they went to the moon several times. But in this video, and the thing is most of the people, or let's say a good chunk of people who don't believe that we went to the moon, is because of the Van Allen belt. They don't believe that we can survive the radiation to make it to the moon, surviving through the Van Allen belt. Now, the fact that when they announced this thing about sending the Orion ship unmanned, because NASA doesn't know if they can make it through the Orion belt, this is a contradiction of terms. Because they're claiming to have gotten through the Van Allen belt to get to the moon several times, but in this video, they make it very clear that NASA has no fucking idea if people can survive going through the Van Allen belt. And so I was asking this lady, how does this make any sense? And of course, this fucking engineer is like, oh, well, they need to make sure everything's working right, and they're not going to the moon. And I was like, dude, I didn't say they were going to the fucking moon, but they do have to get into outer space. They do have to go through the Van Allen belt. But unfortunately, because he was interrupting me while I was talking, interrupting her while she was trying to answer me, which I don't know how much of a legitimate answer I would have gotten anyways, but I was unable to get one. Now, my second question, and I brought this to a bunch of people who work there, right? A whole bunch of people who work there. And every single employee at the Johnson Space Center in Houston that I brought, when I asked them this question, were all fucking shocked. And these people work at NASA, y'all. They've got to hear the craziest shit from people every day on the regular basis. And my question, even to this lady who was giving us the update on the Orion, or I'm sorry, on the Osiris-rex mission, was shocked when I asked her the next question. And what I asked her was this. I said, I was already concerned that NASA is going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to go investigate a near-Earth asteroid. The fact that they're going to devote all that time, money, resources, effort, everything to make this mission happen, just to go investigate a near-Earth collision asteroid, is terrifying. And so I asked her, I said, I want to know, I want somebody to explain to me why they decided to name this ship the Osiris-rex. And she was like, oh, well, it's some sort of anagram. Because Osiris stands for something, and then it's probably Osiris-re, and they just added the rex to make it sound like a word. And I said, really? I said, because if you break it down, I said, basically what they just did is they spent millions of dollars to go investigate a near-Earth asteroid. And I said, as we all know, most of the scientific community agrees that dinosaurs were probably wiped out by an asteroid hitting the Earth. And I said, and essentially what they have done is they've went and spent hundreds of millions of dollars to go investigate a near-Earth asteroid, and they named it after the god of death, the god of afterlife, however you want to interpret it, and dinosaurs. The same thing that fucking wiped out the dinosaurs is what they're naming this thing, plus the god of death of the afterlife, to go investigate this thing. I said, that sounds pretty ominous to me. I said, that's absolutely terrifying. And she looked at me with this complete look of horror on her face, and she said, oh my God, I never thought about it like that before. And these are people that work at NASA, you guys. I went and talked to probably about 20, 30 different employees, various different people that were just going to the shows and mentioning this stuff, and these people were like, holy shit. So y'all can take it for whatever it's worth. And y'all can think whatever you want about it. And by the way, that's part of the Orion right there, supposedly. But these people, NASA, giving these shows that are supposed to be all involved and all knowledgeable about all this stuff going on in NASA, and they're involved in a lot of the day-to-day stuff, and they come out and they speak at these little shows, right? We're absolutely shocked by my question about the Osiris-rex. And I would imagine that there's crap loads and crap loads of people that go to that Johnson Space Center in Houston every damn day and ask all sorts of crazy questions. But for some reason, my question about the Osiris-rex had NASA in panic. Now, if the people in NASA are getting horrified at me asking them about their own information that they're releasing to me, and I was already worried they're going to spend all this money to investigate a near-Earth asteroid, but the fact that the people that work there are terrified by the name of the Osiris-rex makes me twice as concerned about what the hell they're doing out there than I ever was before. These are the fucking people that work there. She was like, where did you learn about the Osiris-rex? Did you go on such and such a tour? I'm like, I didn't go on no damn tour. I'm like, I read. You guys put this shit out there, and then I read it. So now I'm coming back to the source and asking you guys questions about the stuff that you put out, and you're looking at me like you're horrified. I'm like, what the hell? So, for those of you who happen to see this, I think you should all be very concerned. I don't think you should be concerned with this asteroid Bennu that they're going to investigate, because I don't think that's really what they're after. But in my opinion, this puts a crap load more. This is just a big old honking red flag that tells me they're out looking for Planet X. That's just my opinion. I don't know, you guys. But the fact that I was able to go to the Johnson Space Center and ask many, many people the same damn question about the Osiris-rex and have them all look at me horrified when I was already horrified, and now NASA's horrified, I'm flipping out. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. I was already worried, now I'm like, holy fucking balls. Excuse my language, but you know. So anyways, this is what happened to me this weekend, y'all. But I don't know if I passed it already. And that, once again, this may be absolutely nothing. I took some pretty interesting shots here. Feel free to pause the video and zoom in and all that stuff. I tried to take as many interesting shots as I could. Any kind of clipboards or anything else like that that were sitting out that looked like they might have important something or other on them, I took a picture of it. Granted, it was through glass and it was with my phone, but I did it. So I don't know what all kind of neat shit is in here, but I want to find this one particular picture that I found because I thought there it is right there. Now I don't know what the hell this is, and maybe I've lost my mind. This is a little NASA desk, and they got their little computer right there. This to me looks like a fucking Nintendo 64 controller just sitting there on the table. This is at the NASA Johnson. This is the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where they have mission control for NASA. And in their little museum, as you can see right there, it looks to me very clearly like they have a Nintendo 64 controller sitting there right on the fucking table. Right on the table. Now, either they're sitting in there playing video games, or they're leaving a big old honking sign right there for everybody to see, saying, everything you see here is a bunch of bullshit. Y'all can take it wherever you want. This is sitting out at the Johnson Space Center right there, and it's a Nintendo 64 controller. You can see it clear as day. I think it's pretty crazy. So, anyways, this is the crazy shit that I had when I went to go see the Johnson Space Center, and hopefully y'all thought this story was interesting as I thought it was. Sorry if I dragged on a bit getting to the point, but I just wanted to make sure and share all the details or whatever. But once again, like I said, I asked 10, 20, 30 employees all the same thing about this Osiris-rex thing, and they were all shocked. And by the time it's all said and done, and you're going through and looking at all these amazing artifacts in the Space Museum, boom, Nintendo 64 controller. I don't know, guys. Not sure what to make of that, but that's pretty crazy. Anyway, that's all I got. You guys take care. I know there's a bunch of other crazy stuff going on, and I'll try to make some more videos about it. But thought this NASA thing was pretty damn interesting, and you guys might want to hear about it. I'm sure there's everybody talking about this people hacking the planet and all this other stuff, and I'll get into some of my own other things about it or whatever soon. But this is just too good. So there you have it, folks. This is Mark from Weaponized Truth signing out. Y'all take care.